Welcome to another deep dive. You know, we love picking recipes based on what you're all interested in, and this
Mm.
time we're diving into something really special, a Mediterranean grouper recipe from Fork and Fry. We're going to break down the recipe and figure out, what makes it unique, what makes it healthy, all that good stuff.
I think it's a fantastic choice. It really showcases the core of the Mediterranean diet, which is, less of a strict diet and more of a way of approaching food and life, really.
Yeah, and, when I look at the ingredients, some just jump out at me. Like those cherry tomatoes, Kalamata olives, capers, lemon. It's like instant Mediterranean vibes, right?
It makes sense,
Yeah.
those flavors, they're so tied to that region. And
All right.
the Mediterranean diet has been linked to, well, some really incredible health benefits. There was a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, and they found that people who followed a Mediterranean diet had a 30% lower risk of developing heart disease.
30%. Wow, that's amazing. And talking about ingredients, I noticed paprika and oregano in there. Two spices I always think of when I think of Mediterranean food.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They both have such rich histories, too. Paprika actually originates in the Americas. Believe it or not, Christopher Columbus brought it back to Europe,
Uh,
and then it spread from Spain to Hungary and became a staple in their cuisines. But oregano, that's truly Mediterranean, going back centuries.
that's fascinating. It's like these ingredients traveled the world and ended up in this dish together. So, okay, let's get into the cooking. First step is prepping the grouper fillets. It says to pat them dry. Seems pretty basic, but I'm guessing there's a reason for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You want to make sure the fish is really dry so it browns properly and gets that nice crispy crust. Otherwise, it'll steam in its own moisture. So that one little step makes a big difference in the final texture.
Gotcha. So it's all about maximizing that surface area for browning. Makes
Okay.
sense. Okay, so then we season the fish with salt, pepper, paprika, and oregano. Sounds simple but delicious. Is there anything special about that combination?
Well, it's all about balance. Salt and pepper kind of set the foundation. And then the paprika brings in this smoky sweetness. And then oregano adds that earthy, slightly bitter note. So together they create this really well-rounded seasoning that complements the grouper without being too overpowering.
I see. Okay, so then comes the fun part. The cherry tomatoes, olives, capers, and garlic all tossed with lemon juice and olive oil. Now we're talking.
And visually, it's stunning, too. All those colors. Bright red tomatoes, the deep purple of the olives, briny green capers, the white garlic. It's like a painting.
You're making me hungry. And it seems really simple to put together. So we layer this mixture over the seasoned grouper and bake it. Easy enough. The recipe gives a specific temperature and time for baking.
Yeah, 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 12 to 15 minutes. Or until the fish flakes easily with a fork. The key is to cook it through without overdoing it. You want it opaque and flaky, not dry and rubbery.
Right, right. Overcooked fish is the worst. It's like finding that sweet spot. Okay, so while the grouper bakes, the recipe mentions some serving options. Roasted vegetables, quinoa, or a green salad. I like that it gives you some flexibility.
Yeah, definitely. And each side dish brings its own nutritional value, too. Quinoa, for example, is a complete protein. It has all 9 essential amino acids. And roasted veggies are packed with fiber and vitamins and minerals.
This is starting to sound less like a weeknight dinner
Yeah,
and more like a perfectly balanced meal.
exactly. That's the beauty of the Mediterranean diet. It's not about restriction. It's about combining fresh, wholesome foods
Yeah.
to create something delicious and nourishing.
Totally, I love that. So before we keep going, I want to hear from you. Have you tried any Mediterranean recipes lately? What are
Yeah.
your go-to flavor combinations? Head over to our social media and let us know.
And hey, while you're at it, why not give this Mediterranean grouper recipe a try? It's a great way to experience those Mediterranean flavors. And who knows, maybe you'll discover a new family favorite. We were just talking about those side dishes, and it's funny to think about even something as simple as roasting vegetables. It has its roots in those old Mediterranean traditions. Think about those wood-fired ovens they've been using for centuries. For everything, bread, meat, veggies. It's like a timeless cooking method.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so while our grouper's in the oven soaking up all those amazing flavors, we can get those veggies roasting or whip up some quinoa. And speaking of the grouper, the recipe mentions adding some fresh parsley before serving.
Yeah.
I love a little pop of green. It's like the finishing touch.
Oh, it's way more than just a garnish. Parsley, like a lot of herbs, is packed with antioxidants. And it's been used medicinally for ages. In Mediterranean cultures, it's thought to help with digestion and even freshen breath.
Wow, I had no idea. It's crazy how something so simple can have such a rich history and so many benefits. When I first saw this recipe, what really struck me was how quick and easy it seemed. It kind of breaks that stereotype that healthy eating has to be complicated and time-consuming.
That's a great point. Mediterranean cuisine is all about simplicity and fresh ingredients. You don't need fancy gadgets or crazy techniques to make a delicious and healthy meal.
Exactly, which is perfect for our busy lives.
Oh.
This recipe also got me thinking about grouper. I have to admit, I haven't cooked with it that much. What makes it a good fit for this dish?
Well, grouper is a firm white fish. It has this delicate, slightly sweet flavor that pairs really well with the bold Mediterranean flavors. It's also a good source of protein and low in saturated fat, so it's a healthy choice. Plus, it holds its shape well during cooking, which makes it perfect for baking or grilling.
So it's not just about the flavor, it's also the texture and how it cooks. That's good to know. Fork and Fry has a ton of recipes like this one, all healthy and flavorful. They really seem passionate about making healthy cooking accessible.
Yeah, they're a fantastic resource for anyone who wants to explore Mediterranean cuisine, or just add more fresh and tasty meals to their routine. And it's not just recipes, they also have tips and tricks to help you feel more confident in the kitchen.
I love that. It's all about empowering people to cook more and enjoy it. As we've been talking about this recipe, it's made me think about the bigger picture of the Mediterranean diet. It's more than just ingredients. It's a whole way of life, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a lifestyle that embraces food, family, and community, sharing meals with loved ones, really savoring the flavors, appreciating the connection between food and well-being.
There's something so beautiful about that. It reminds us that food is more than just fuel. It's something to be enjoyed and celebrated.
Exactly. And that's what makes the Mediterranean diet so sustainable. It's not about deprivation. It's about finding joy in simple pleasures, good food and good company.
I love that. Before we wrap up, we want to hear from you. Have you ever tried cooking with grouper? What are your favorite ways to prepare fish? Share your tips with us on social media. We're always learning. This whole conversation has me thinking, how can I bring more of that Mediterranean spirit to my own life? It's like you said, it's not just about the food. It's about that whole mindset.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it doesn't have to be this big dramatic change. Start small, maybe use more olive oil when you cook, or add some fresh herbs to your dishes, or just take the time to really savor your meals and enjoy the company of the people you're sharing them with.
I love that. Small steps make a big difference, right? It's about finding what works for you long term. Speaking of sustainability, I've heard the Mediterranean diet is actually one of those environmentally sustainable diets out there.
Oh, absolutely. It focuses on plant-based foods, locally sourced produce, and minimizing food waste. So it's this holistic approach that benefits both our health and the planet's health.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's a good reminder that our food choices really do have a ripple effect. Well, this deep dive has been a journey. We started with a simple grouper recipe and ended up talking about history, culture, health, sustainability.
It's amazing how food can connect us to all these different things, isn't it?
It really is. So to recap, we found a delicious and healthy recipe, learned more about the Mediterranean diet, and even picked up some helpful cooking tips, all in one deep dive.
It's been a pleasure diving in with you. And remember, this is just the beginning. There's a whole world of flavors out there waiting to be explored.
So true. As always, we want to hear from you. Have you tried this recipe? What are your thoughts on the Mediterranean diet? Head over to our social media pages and share your thoughts. And for more delicious recipes and culinary inspiration, visit www.forkandfry.com. Until next time, happy cooking, everyone.